Hi, everyone. Welcome once again to one of our night sky tours with CTC Astronomer Warren Hart. Hi, Warren. How are you
Hello,
today?
hello. Doing fine.
Yes, well, we have Alyssa who's streaming, and we are so excited that you've joined us. We are going to be doing the April night sky. So, Warren, I'm going to let you take it away.
All right, thank you. Welcome to those who've come to watch this and get familiar with what's going to be happening in April for us. So the first thing let's do, Cindy, let's bring up the web page for the planetarium that you have at the library. There we go. And notice all the different things that are available. And I've lost my screen, so I'll just keep going on. Let's see, cancel.
Lost your screen.
Yeah, I'm on something else here. Let me
Uh,
close this one down.
are you on a? Is your screen back?
No, well, it's on this other leave meeting on a different one, and whichever.
So you
Well, it's
can't
not going
see
to
our
let
screen
me.
at all?
No, I don't have you, but that's fine. I can just talk through and let you, we'll deal with this later. So let's go through, and Cindy, if you will tell people and show them what we have available on the page there.
Okay.
Oh, I
Well,
got it back.
oh, okay, good. I need just press buttons. We have our lib guide, which is on our library website, and it's Astronomy and Mayburn Science Theater. This is where we're going to be finding all of our night sky calendars, our constellations by month or season or alphabetical order, and you can find astronomy books, databases, and the cool thing about the front page is if you click on the shows, it brings you right to the Mayburn Science Theater shows. Also, their calendars of what's going on over there, their information. So, oh, and here's the countdown clock for our eclipse.
There you go.
Mm.
All right, very good. Well, let's start off and let's show them the calendar for April, and there we are. And we'll go ahead and look if at the first page there. And we are on the 30th here on Wednesday. And all I have noted in is about what we're doing right now, the presentation here. And so the next thing that's coming up, if you look on Friday, April the 1st, and I will start off and say, this is not a joke, this is for real. Now, first thing is you see there is we have a new moon. Now, I don't want anyone to get confused or excited that there's a second moon out there. No, it's just as we're going through the phases, and this is when we keep track of the cycle of the phases, and the new moon is actually when we cannot see it. It is in between Earth, us, and the sun. So we would be looking at its shadow side, and there we would not, thus we would not be able to see it. But there is a date there and a time and a location of where it happens to be. It's directly in line between us and the sun there. And now, as we pass by that time on April the 1st at 1:25 in the morning, then we go from just a brand new moon. The moon begins its phases, and it starts then with a very first phase is a waxing crescent phase. Waxing is an old English term that indicates and mentions that you are gaining strength. And so what we're applying to the moon, the gaining strength, is that we are getting more and more of the illuminated side of the moon visible to us here on Earth. So it's a very, very thin crescent. And as we go through, that crescent will continue to seem to enlarge because the moon is orbiting around the Earth. And as it goes along its path, we are able to see more of the illuminated side there. So let's go on. Then our next thing is if you'll go down to the 5th of April on a Tuesday, and I put it in red, and I mentioned to you that that is an excellent morning to view the following two planets. First will be Saturn rising in the east at 4:51 in the morning. So you would look to the east and Saturn will be coming up at 4:51. And then in 2 minutes, Mars will rise and it will seem like it's almost right beside it or on it. Now you notice I have there the line in between says 0.4 degrees from Mars. Um, in the planetarium, I show people and tell them that if you would hold your uh, primary arm and hand that you use out front of you at full arm's length, and then bring all your fingers down together and leave your little pinky sticking up across, going across the side, from side to side on your little finger. That's 1 degree at arm's length. So what I'm indicating to you and telling you here that between Saturn to Mars, Mars to Saturn is less than half the width of your little finger apart. So there's the two of them. And you should be able to distinguish between which one is Saturn, which one is Mars. One way would be that Saturn will be a little higher in the sky as it comes up, but there's another reason that you should be able to tell the difference. And when you figure that out, you can text to Alyssa, who's waiting for people to send in text messages here, and see if you come up with what you believe is the second way to tell which is Saturn and which is Mars. Now, while you're dealing with that, notice in the evening, and I always put down below there in the parenthesis there that this is from sunset on that day on Tuesday all through the night to the next morning of 6 or the Wednesday to at sunrise. So all of the night you have the option, the capability and the option that you can view any of these constellations that I indicate on which date. Well, there happens to be two of them. And the first one is known as Corvus the Crow. By the way, if you're new to this, all the names of the constellations are in Latin. And then the other part there where it says the crow, that's its, we say its natural or English name that we have there. So, Cindy, let's see if you want to bring up Corvus the Crow. There it is there. And we have a couple of things that kind of will help us to picture it in the sky. First of all, up above there, that diagonal green dashed and dotted line, that is the ecliptic. Now, when I say ecliptic, there should be another astronomical word that should come to your mind. So that's a second thing. And if you can figure that out, let Alyssa know that you understand what that path is that's going along there. The other thing on the map or the chart there, the white area is the area in the sky that the professional astronomers back in 1930 decided that that would be designated in the sky for the constellation called Corvus the Crow. So everything that happens to come into that white area would have a base name included that it's in Corvus the Crow area. And there's the list of the stars. There's not a whole lot, but the other thing before we go is you'd see that it's just like it's sitting on the Tropic of Capricorn. And you look to the side, the far side of the page, it says that is approximately a little more than a minus 20 degrees below the equator. And you look on the green line to the right, it's actually 23 and almost 3/4 of a degree south. What that is the where the sun would be on that date when it's at the Tropic of Capricorn, and it would be directly overhead. Now, since that's in the southern hemisphere, when is that going to be? Well, I'll let you tell me when that is going to happen, that the sun would be directly over that band, that latitude in the southern hemisphere. What would be the date that it would be there? Let's go on, Cindy. Let's go to the next and go to the next page of it. Now, on every constellation, there will be either 2 or maybe 3 pages. And what this does is gives you the detailed information of what is noted on the page itself. You see that there are 7 stars that are mentioned. There's an asterism that the Corvus the Crow is sometimes called the sail, and there are 3 bordering constellations, and they're listed there: Virgo, Crater, and Hydra. Let's go back to the first page, Cindy, if you would. What I encourage you, you can download these pages off of the CTC library site and print them out on your paper and use them for when you go outside to view in the sky. You see up above the white area there, and just to the left of the north arrow, it says Virgo. That is where the constellation Virgo would be. And if you look over to the right upper corner of Corvus the Crow, you see in the gray area a set of dotted line there, a perpendicular line going up, and then it goes to the right and it goes up some more. Those are the boundaries for different constellations. So Virgo is the first one, going clockwise around. The next one is Crater, and then going down to the bottom is Hydra, and then you would come on up on the left side, and they're back in Virgo. What I'm encouraging you to do is find out from that page the constellations that border Corvus, so that then you can say, oh, well, then Virgo's over here, Crater is there, Hydra here, and you can begin to learn more and more of the sky, that you do what I would say, that you would start off with a very simple spiral right along the edge of the constellation Corvus, and you go around those 3. You get familiar with those, then pick one of the other constellations, let's say Virgo, and then you'll get it, and you'll see what constellations border Virgo. So for every constellation, I list for you the bordering constellations to help you as you begin to learn the sky. And I point out in the planetarium, and often as I can, do not let the sky intimidate you. Find something that you recognize, look at it, and then from that point, begin to learn and enjoy what you understand more and more of the sky. All right, we have another constellation the same night. And let's look, and that is Crux or Crux. And that's in Latin, and all that means is cross. There you can see the diagram down there, and it's got a lot of different stars that I have on there. And the darker parts of it that's the way we indicate on a plain sheet like this how bright or its magnitude for a star. We haven't figured out any other way to do it, changing color or whatever, but the larger the black circle, we're saying that is a brighter and brighter star in its magnitude. There they are. Now, what we have on this page, you notice there in brown, I have indicating over there on the left, that is CTC Planetarium's southern horizon. What that means is from that dashed line up north, you can see all that. From that dashed line down, you will not see it. It is below the horizon. I get a question, usually in coming up this time period, April, May, and June, in there. Hey, can we see the Southern Cross? And I say, sure, you can see part of it. And as you can tell here, you can see the top two stars of Crux, the constellation. You cannot see unless you went to the south down down to the southern part of Texas or on down into Mexico, that then you would be able to see that horizon, uh, what's further down there. If you don't ever leave from this where we are at the planetarium, this latitude, this horizon, you will never see anything further south than that. And let's look at page 2 of this. And if you scroll her up, keep her going, and there's a listing of all of those stars. And notice there are only 2 bordering constellations. Just as a trivia thing, Crux is the constellation that has the least number of bordering constellations. All it has is 2. All right. Now, let's go back to, if you will, back to the uh, uh, calendar, and you have those 2. Now, the next day, on Wednesday the 6th, that night is a constellation called Musca the Fly. Now, let's go to it, and you're going to see something different about this. Now, there you are, Musca the Fly. Do you see the southern horizon dashed line?
Yes.
Where is it? It's back up where we just talked about Crux. Guess what? You will not see Musca the Fly unless you go to the south, or you come to the planetarium and we'll show it to you. But that's what we have, that in problem there, if you want to call it that. And there's the listing of the different stars, and we'll go to its second page. If you will, go on down, keep going, and there's a list of them, different ones. And then you see it has 5 different, no, yeah, 6 different constellations bordering it. And there's some more information of who named it, and it's not an invention. It was there, but they just named that area of the sky. That's all that means. All right, let's go back to the calendar again. And so you have in that week, we have 3 constellations, and the moon has already started its first waxing crescent phase. Let's look at the next one, Another thing about the moon on Thursday the 7th is that the moon, as it orbits the Earth, it is an ellipse. It's like an egg shape. It is a circle, but it's not a perfect circle with one constant radius there. So there's a time here on Thursday the 7th at 2:10 in the afternoon that it happens to be the farthest from us for this one cycle of the moon, and we call that an apogee. The coming from the Greek, if you will, the negative privative a, the letter a means it's the opposite of whatever the word is talking about, and so it's indicating to us this is away from us. It is far from us, and in this case, notice there are 13 apogee moons throughout the month, which means that one of the months will have two apogees. And there you can get you an idea of how far it is away from Earth when you do see the moon in the sky. And rather than trying to figure out, well, okay, 251,000 plus miles, how about just figure in your mind that there's 32 Earths in between us and the moon? Now let's go to Friday. Friday the 9th, we have our next phase. Now, the phase is what we would call a first quarter moon. I've also added in a new term that we haven't, that I came across last month, and I wanted to put it in for you. And there it is. It's a first quarter moon, or we could also call it a dichotomy moon. Now, what does that mean? Well, I'll let you look it up and you tell Alyssa. What does that mean when it is a dichotomy moon? And at 1:48 in the morning, at the location of where the moon is, that is the first quarter or a dichotomy moon. And then immediately after that, as it continues to orbit, then it goes to a waxing gibbous phase. Got another word for you. What is gibbous? Look that up and tell us what gibbous means. I want to get you busy here learning different terms that apply here in the sky. And that evening of Saturday the 9th, there is another constellation. This one is unique, and it is named Coma Berenesis, and it means Berenice's hair. Well, why is it very unique? It's the only constellation that is named after the dead now, but a real living person. She was either the daughter, I forgot to look it up before we got back on here, either the daughter or the wife of a king. And so, in honor of her and being a king, he could tell the astronomers, here's what the name of that one's going to be. And they said, yes, sir, king. And so that's it there. And it's very basic. The what's there, there's three major stars, not very large or bright in magnitude. And then there's a whole bunch over there on the right-hand side going down below number 8, and then you see 7 and 9 and 5, 6, 10, and all. That's the locks of her hair. And then, if you will, the other part, 8 and 20 and 19, could be her tiara or something like that, that she has around her forehead and her head there. So that's Coma Berenesis. And if you see, also look down in the bottom of the chart over on the right, there is a blue line. There's that ecliptic again. And another one down, a brown line dashed, that's called equator. Now I will give you equator because that is the definition that it is a dividing line or region or portion, if you want to call it latitude, around our Earth that determines the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. But that's the only one I'm going to give you. You got to tell me all the others. Okay, let's go back to the calendar. We're ready to start in the second week. And I have for you, or pardon me, in the third week now. We have another constellation, and it's on Wednesday the 13th. And it should be familiar to you now what I said, that you would start viewing that evening on the 13th after sunset, watch it come up in the sky, and you can watch it throughout the night or as long as you can there, and then until the sun, as it comes up for sunrise, washes out the stars in the sky and you can't see it anymore. All right, let's look at Centaurus. Centaurus is a very large and has a whole bunch of stars related to it, as you see there. And the Centaurus is a mythical centaur. Well, that's an interesting word. I'll let you look that up. Centaur. What was in mythology a centaur? And you notice up in the top, there's the ecliptic. And if you look down at the feet, if you want to call, of the centaur of Centaurus, notice we can see most of it. We just can't see the hoofs of the 2 feet or the 4 feet there. And notice right in between, just under his belly, right there is Crux, and on down was Musca. So that gives you an idea when you're looking to orient yourself to the sky, and that you can see the different things there. Unfortunately for us, the 2 dark circles for Centaurus, numbers 24 and 31, are the 2 brightest ones in Centaurus, and that's Alpha and Beta Centauri. Did any of you, or do any of you, read science fiction stories? And if you do, there's usually the major star that's mentioned in science fiction is the one there, the number 31, Alpha Centauri. Well, why in the world did they picture or choose Alpha Centauri? Let's look at the page there, Cindy. Keep going. And let's see what we can figure out. What we say was its number? It was number 31, wasn't it? So let's go down. There's 31. Now it's got another actual regular name, Rigel Centaurus. That's one. But also in its Greek, there it is, Alpha Centauri. Now keep on reading over. The next part is its address, and then we say it's VMAG. It's visibility. How bright is it to the naked eye? That's what that means. And it's pretty bright. It's right at the changeover from minus to a plus in magnitude. But then notice the next thing. It's 4.36 light years away from us. It is the closest one of Centauri, and it's also the closest next star but after our sun that we can see with the naked eye. There is another in here, Let's see if I have it. I don't think so. Uh, it's a little bit closer, 4.2 light years, but you have to use a telescope to find it. And then also another thing, it's the smallest as far as Centauri itself. These are the uh, things in bold print there are related to the constellation itself. It's not the smallest of April. It's not the smallest of any other constellation. It's the smallest one in the constellation Centaurus. And there you see the asterisms and then also its bordering constellations there. So let's go back to our calendar page. And as we're going to continue on, now there's another one, and I don't think I gave you, Cindy, the chart for the equation of time yet. So we'll just, all what that's doing, and I'll have that at another time, is the relationship of time using the stars and time using the sun. Now, you and I, with your phone, I used to say your wristwatch, but I doubt maybe 1% of you have a wristwatch on you right now. But uh, we tell time and we go by the time of in our relationship to the sun. Now, as Earth goes around the sun, it does the same thing that the moon does going around the Earth. It is a circle as we go around, but it is an elliptical circle. So there is a time when we are closer to the sun, and this is throughout the year. There's a time during the year that we are closer, and there's a time when we are farther from the sun. And way it works out with gravity, the closer you get to the sun, the gravity of the sun gets stronger, and you speed up in your orbit speed. And so we would get, with our sun time, we would go ahead of the star time. And then there's a time when we begin to slow down and we get slowest when we're the farthest from the sun. And so we're way behind the star time. Now, if we decided, or you decided that you want to set your watch by star time, you're going to set it every day. You're going to reset it every day. And so it was decided that would be too cumbersome. And so it was chosen we would do it years, centuries ago. It would be by taking the time with the sun. Now let's scroll up just a little bit or bring the map, no, the other direction, Cindy. I want to look, there you go. Looking on Saturday, we have gone from the first phase was a new moon. The second phase was the quarter moon or the dichotomy moon. And now we're at our third phase, and it happens to be a full moon. And there you have the the information concerning it. And soon as we pass that time on Saturday the 16th at 1:56 in the afternoon, that's a full moon. And then we go on and we then go to our waning gibbous. Oh, we went waxing gibbous until we reach the full moon point in time and position, and now we're waning gibbous. Now, we also have another constellation, and there it is called Canis Venatici, and it's Bootes' hunting dog. So let's go to its picture. There they are. Now we have a number of lines that are on here, that I'll point out to you. First of all, up at the very top up there on each side of the north uh, arrow, there's something that's called NCSA. Well, that's not a basketball team or whatever. But notice there what we have. There's a green dashed undotted line going along, and it says it is CTC Planetarium's northern horizon when you look to the north. Now, I don't want to confuse you, but what that means is that everything that's above the horizon is what you see when you look to the north. And everything inside above that northern horizon you can see throughout the year. There's whatever's in there in that region there. Notice over to the right, that's 58.9 degrees at northern latitude from our latitude. And there's our latitude down there at 31. Notice CTC Planetarium's latitude plus 31.1 degrees. And so there is what we would have, and the planetarium's latitude would be directly over us in the sky, directly overhead. And anytime you look up in the sky, you're looking up above your latitude, which here at the planetarium is 31.1. Now, also we have down there, we have a Tropic of Cancer. Remember earlier we had the Tropic of Capricorn. That's the southern hemisphere. Here is the Tropic of Cancer for the northern hemisphere. And there it is right there, plus 23. So when is the sun directly overhead that latitude on Earth here? What day and month is it? Tell Alyssa, tell Alyssa, and we'll see what all you tell us after we're through. So let's scroll down, if you would, Cindy, on the page, and there is, and a little bit of, pardon me, a little bit of help for you. You see there all in that green? I tell you what everything is on that first page. So there's what NCSA is. That is what our northern horizon, a little more information, our latitude, and what the Tropic of Cancer is. But they don't need to see that. You need to tell me what all that is. Okay, let's go back to the calendar, Cindy. And here we are. Uh, we're on there, and that was Canis Venatici, and we're now going to go down on to Monday the 18th. Let's see. Oh, we didn't talk about Canis Venatici, did I?
Go back.
Okay, that's my error. I got all, there it is. Yeah. Let me also, to help you in finding it, if you look right above in the gray area, notice there it indicates Ursa Major. That's the big bear. And there is the handle, those three dark circles, and three of the corners of the pot or the dipper in the sky. So an easy way to find Canis Venatici, find the Big Dipper, look underneath that the handle, the arc of the handle, and there you're looking at Canis Venatici. All right. Now scroll down just a little bit on Canis Venatici, and notice there what's next is Coma Berenesis. This month, April, is the month where all the constellations I mentioned to you are the most straight perpendicular than of any other month. Other times we go down and then we go to the left a little, and then we go to the right to the little and all. But these are all virtually direct below each other. So it'll be very easy to go through and find the 7 constellations, actually the 6, since you cannot see Musca in there. Okay, let's go to the calendar. And let's go to the 18th. And the sun also, as in relation as we look at it, that we would perceive that it seems like it goes into different constellations too, but we can't see them, but we know by figuring out that it is going into Aries the Ram. And I indicate for you it is an ecliptical constellation. Let's go to the 19th on Tuesday, and we had the apogee, which meant it was farthest away from us. Now here is the perigee, when it's the closest to us. And I've mentioned before, the way I started out to help me to remember which was which, I always think of the perigee moon, that it is perilously closer to the Earth. So that's how I get the two of them. And there you get the information about it. But also that evening, here is constellation Virgo the Virgin. And I have indicated it's ecliptical and it's also equatorial. Well, let's see how that holds up. Let's look at the diagram of it. And let's see. Whoa, look at there, right straight across, halfway across as it goes across, cuts it upper and lower. It is right on the equator. So from the equator up is the northern hemisphere where we live, and from the equator down is the southern hemisphere. And then there's a diagonal green line, and that's the ecliptic. And then you go down, and at the bottom of Virgo, it happens to be right there again, the Tropic of Capricorn, which is in the southern hemisphere. Let's go ahead to the information page. There's a lot of information there. There's all those stars that we have, and you see them. And then there's the bordering constellations. There's the information that I have for you, a lot more information. The ecliptic, the equator, the Tropic of Capricorn, that's for the lines that are there. And there's more information I've put on there. And notice I also have in the interesting information, IC 1101, the largest known galaxy in the universe. If just scroll up the page there, keep going to the second page, keep going on up, and hold on. And well, did I leave it off? I thought I had it on there. Let's look up at the top one. Maybe I accidentally left it off. I did. I guess I did. My error. So I need to get it on there. And it's the largest known galaxy uh, as far as that. Scroll down to the third page, I think. And
The third page.
okay, there, uh, yeah, go on down to interesting information. And let me see here. 6 million, okay, it makes it nearly 50 times. All right. Uh, I think we cannot see it. That's why I didn't put it on there. Okay. Anyway, that's my error of not having the dot where it would be. Let's go back to the calendar. And we have there's the Virgin. By the way, the Virgin is uh, the constellation along the ecliptic that is has more of the ecliptic devoted to Virgo because she is laying down on her back. And so it's the whole length of Virgo is along the ecliptic. Let's go to our Saturday the 23rd. And we have a third quarter moon. We went a first quarter moon. We called it a dichotomy. Well, here's a dichotomy again. Well, maybe you ought to be able to figure out why it's called a dichotomy or a dichotomous moon. And again, at 6:57 in the morning is when it's the third quarter, the dichotomous moon, and then right after that, it begins its waning crescent phase. Do you catch that? From the new moon, everything was waxing. We were beginning to see more and more of the illuminated side of the moon until we got to the full moon. And that's the most we can see of the illuminated side because the full moon is uh, in our night sky. It's the sun, earth, and then the moon. So we can't get any more side of more of the moon to see. So that means then it begins to lose the area, the region that's illuminated that we can see. So it wanes. It's losing strength. It's losing its illumination. Well, we're ready for the last week. On the 29th, there we are. And you notice there 8:09 p.m. sunset, and I have that on there because after sunset at 9:50 p.m. it's still up, but you can see that it above the horizon that you can still see Mercury because notice it is trailing the sun and it's a point in relationship between Mercury, Earth, and the sun that it's called its easternmost elongation. The furthest it gets away from the sun that we could see it on there. And then you have that to see Mercury. And notice the next morning on Saturday the 30th, the end of April, is an excellent morning to, and what do I have? The following two planets. Oh, well, how about that? And then the new moon. So it goes, and we have a second new moon. And then on that same Saturday evening in the planetarium, I will do the May calendar and constellations. And notice in May, we're going to talk about 9.5 constellations. And I'll let you figure out or wait until in end of April when I explain to you what in the world is Warren doing? Is he cutting them in pieces now? How do you do that? Well, we got 9.5 constellations. Okay, that's all as far as the calendar. Has
Okay.
anybody sent anything in to describe for us what each of the things were?
I don't know, Alyssa. No, nope, nobody answered, and I would have to sit and think harder about your answers. So please don't make me answer them.
Okay, so let's quickly go back up, go to the first page of the calendar,
Okay.
and we'll go through that for you
Okay.
that we have there. Let's see, the first thing that I would get for you, the new moon, we talked about, there's the phase, and it's in between us and that. All right. Then we have, let's go down the next line, and on there we have Corvus the Crow. And go ahead and bring up Corvus the Crow. That's where we want to start getting the info now, real quickly. The ecliptic is the name for the path of the sun through the sky. Now, we can't see when we're looking at the sun, we can't see it, but we can figure out where it would be each night at midnight. Uh, where it would be along that path. So that's its circle. Now, that's called the ecliptic, and all the planets and the moon also travel along that ecliptic. And sometimes, because the orbits of the planets are not perfectly level with the sun, they are at an angle. So at times they may be above the ecliptic or below the ecliptic. And the same thing for the moon. The Tropic of Capricorn, when the sun is directly overhead for the Tropic of Capricorn, is for our winter solstice.
Oh,
And so that's December the 21st. And that's when the sun is down there. And the solstice is a word in Latin, solstice, if you will. Sol, we can figure out that must mean sun, but stice comes from a different word, and all it means the sun stands still. Think in your mind prior to all of the knowledge we have of astronomy with telescopes and et cetera, et cetera. And the people would watch the sun each day, and sometimes they would keep track of it. They would see it would get high in the sky, but then as time went on, as it would come, it wouldn't seem to get as high in the sky. And so what's it doing? And so it would go down and it gets down and it getting lower and lower. Oh my goodness, is it going to leave us? No, but it's going to go and it seems to slow down each day. And finally, it doesn't go any further south. It stands still. Oh, it's not leaving us. And then as we watch, oh, it begins to rise up again. So that's what you would have, the Tropic of Capricorn, and the sun stands still. Okay, now let's see, what was the other constellation had was Coma Berenice, I believe. Well, no, that was Crux. Okay. Anyway, on Crux, go ahead. The next one, that's there. And go up to the top of the very first page of it. There we go. Keep going. The next one up. There. Okay. That's our southern horizon. And so that's as far as we can see in there. You don't, it's far enough south. There's no ecliptic, and it's also below the Tropic of Capricorn in the south. Okay. So let me think. What was some other things? I told you about that NC different thing on Centaurus and also on Canis Venatici. Uh, what Cindy said, let's just go back to the library page, Cindy.
the library page,
Yes. Of the
this one?
planetarium. Yeah, there.
Okay.
And show them again where to find the constellations.
Oh, the calendars are here,
Okay.
and the various constellations are by month or season or order
Okay.
here.
And so
And
they can go and click on any one of them and copy and then get a blank piece of paper for your printer and print it out.
mhm,
And that way you can begin to develop your own constellation map that you want to look at in the sky for a specific night or whatever.
okay. And then we also have fun activities that Warren puts together that's astronomy related. So definitely check those out. And we will be posting March's answer soon. And we will be putting April. And then, or did we decide that, Warren? And then we have one whole year of puzzles. And
Yeah,
that's what we're doing. We're not doing anymore.
We'll keep going until you get all the answers, and then we'll go to some
There you
give you some
go.
new ones.
There you go. There you go. Well, listen,
Okay.
we also, if you're interested, like when our next night sky tours are, you can go to the library page. Well, let me do academics to more resources and go down to events, flyers, and we have our night sky tour dates. So our next one will be April 27th. And we also have next week's dates. And next week, on April 4th, next Monday, we have part of our environmental science series, and it will be on land stewardship. We have Mr. Robert Ayers of Shield Ranch that's going to not only talk to us about land conservation, but he is also a published poet. So he's going to give us some of his poetry. And then we have Warren back
Mm,
next Wednesday. Although we did not put a date, we didn't notice it until just now. It is at noon next Wednesday, and he's going to be talking about the eclipse. And so we're excited to have him back to get some information on the eclipse. Um, so you can find all that on our library website as well. So,
yeah.
Warren,
Yes,
can we
ma'am.
stop sharing?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right. Okay. Well, oh, wait, there's one question.
Okay.
The question is what appears to be a twinkling star a planet? A twinkling star.
Uh, everything in the sky twinkles. That includes planets. And in essence, even the sun would twinkle and the moon. But of course, we cannot see the twinkling of the sun because that uh, blocks out viewing that. You have to think twinkling. I want you to go look at, or think about the next time that you're getting ready to go down to in your backyard when you have your swimming pool or you go to the city swimming pool or something. Go down to the bottom of the deep end and look up. And every you see standing up on the side of the pools, your friend, your brother, sister, mother, father, or whoever, somebody, and it's you can see that the vision of being able to see them, it's all messed up. You don't have a perfect Polaroid or picture there because you're looking through the different layers of cold and warm layers of water up to see that person standing there on the side of the pool. It's the same thing. We live at the bottom of a huge uh, bowl, if you want to say that, of air. And so we're at the bottom of the air. And for us to look at anything outside of our atmosphere, we're going to get a twinkle for it.
Hmm.
So it may be, if it's real small, just a very small twinkling, more than likely that's just a star. However, to determine if that happens to be a planet, watch that over a series of nights and see if that twinkling star moves in relationship to some other stars around it. If it does not move and you've given it enough time, then that's a star. If it moves, then that's a planet.
Oh, okay, cool. Cool.
Okay?
Hopefully that answered the question.
Yeah. The reason why for that, because stars Remember, we said the closest next star to us is approximately 4.6 light years away. It is so far in actual distance, it is hard for us to discern that everything in the sky is moving. And the only way we can figure that out is the astronomers with their ultra accurate telescopes. They can measure those minute differences there. In your lifetime, my lifetime, your lifetime, and everybody, the sky is not going to change that you can pick up with your eye over the time period that you live. The planets are going to be moving around, the moon's going to be moving around, the sun moves around, and all the stars are, but we can't tell with our naked
Cool.
eye.
Cool. Very cool. Well, we are about out of time, Warren. We've got some
Yep.
very cool information. Everything that you bring with us is always fascinating. We truly appreciate you doing the night sky tours with us, guys. Check out and then definitely check out the star tours over at the planetarium because in the dome you can see the things that we can't see here on our little PDFs. And so make sure you and then you can meet the famous Warren Hart in person.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So, listen, guys, thank you so much for joining us again today. And we hope that you will continue to view our virtual events. Make sure you hit us up on Monday, you hit us up next Wednesday, and we just have a big lineup. Keep watching. Thank you again. And you guys, bye, Warren. You guys have a
Bye
great
bye.
day. Bye. All
Bye
right.
bye.